Why we hold on to things. Decluttering sentimental clutter after 50. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here today because we're diving deep into one of the most challenging aspects of organizing and decluttering, dealing with sentimental items after the age of 50. If you've ever stood in your closet holding your wedding dress from 30 years ago, or found yourself unable to part with your children's baby clothes, even though they're now adults with children of their own, this video is specifically for you. Today, we're going to explore the psychology behind why we hold on to these meaningful objects, and more importantly, I'm going to give you practical, actionable strategies to help you declutter with intention while still honoring your memories. Before we begin, if you find value in today's content, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps me create more content like this, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss our latest organizing and decluttering tips. Understanding the psychology, why we hold on, the memory attachment phenomenon. Let's start by understanding why decluttering becomes exponentially more difficult as we age, particularly after 50. There's genuine psychology behind our attachment to objects, and recognizing these patterns is the first step toward making meaningful changes. As we accumulate decades of life experiences, our possessions become deeply intertwined with our identity and memories. Every item tells a story: the coffee mug from your first job, the jewelry inherited from your grandmother, the artwork your children created in elementary school. These objects serve as physical anchors to our past, and parting with them can feel like losing pieces of ourselves. The scarcity mindset. Many people over 50 grew up in households where resources were more limited, or they experienced economic uncertainty that taught them to hold on to things just in case. This scarcity mindset, while once protective, can become problematic when it prevents us from creating the peaceful, organized spaces we need in our current lives. Fear of forgetting. There's also a deep-seated fear that if we let go of physical reminders, we'll somehow lose the memories associated with them. This fear intensifies as we age and become more aware of memory changes. However, research shows that our most meaningful memories are stored independently of physical objects, and often the act of mindfully letting go can actually strengthen our connection to what truly matters. The guilt factor. Guilt plays a massive role in our inability to declutter sentimental items. We feel guilty about discarding gifts even if we never liked them. We feel guilty about letting go of expensive items that we no longer use. We feel guilty about releasing items connected to deceased loved ones, as if doing so dishonors their memory. Identity through objects. Our possessions often represent who we were, who we thought we'd become, or who we still hope to be. The art supplies for the painting hobby you never pursued, the formal dinnerware for the dinner parties you plan to host, the books you intended to read. These items represent unrealized versions of ourselves, and letting them go can feel like admitting defeat or acknowledging that certain chapters of our lives have closed. The real cost of sentimental clutter. Physical space and mental energy. While it's completely natural to want to preserve meaningful items, excessive sentimental clutter comes with real costs that we need to acknowledge. When our homes are filled with items we never use but can't bear to part with, we sacrifice valuable living space for storage. This clutter requires constant maintenance, cleaning around, and mental energy to manage. Impact on daily life. Sentimental clutter can make it difficult to find the things you actually need and use regularly. When your closets are packed with clothes from previous decades, you can't easily access your current wardrobe. When your kitchen cabinets are filled with inherited china you never use, you can't efficiently store the dishes you use daily. Emotional burden. Paradoxically, the items we keep to preserve happy memories can become sources of stress and overwhelm. Every time you see that pile of items you should sort through someday, it creates a mental burden. The clutter becomes a constant reminder of unfinished business, creating anxiety rather than joy. Impact on family. Many people over 50 hold on to items thinking they're preserving family history, but often family members don't want these items either. The assumption that adult children will want everything can create tension and guilt for the next generation, who may feel obligated to accept items they don't actually want or have space for. If you're finding this information helpful, please take a moment to like this video. It really helps with the algorithm and ensures more people can find these decluttering strategies. Identifying your sentimental clutter patterns. The categories of sentimental clutter. Before we can address sentimental clutter, we need to identify it. Sentimental clutter typically falls into several categories, and understanding which categories resonate most with you will help you develop targeted strategies. Memory keepsakes. Items directly connected to specific memories, ticket stubs, photos, souvenirs, letters, cards. These items have no practical purpose but serve as memory triggers. Inherited items. Possessions that belonged to deceased family members or friends. These items carry emotional weight because they represent people we've lost and may feel like the last tangible connection to them. Achievement markers. Items that represent past accomplishments, diplomas, awards, trophies, professional materials. These objects affirm our identity and past successes. Aspirational items. Possessions connected to hobbies, interests, or lifestyle aspirations that we never pursued or have outgrown. Craft supplies, exercise equipment, books, formal wear. Child-related items. Baby clothes, school projects, toys, artwork. These items represent precious time periods and can be particularly difficult for parents to release. Gift guilt items. Presents we received but never loved or used, kept out of obligation to the giver rather than personal attachment. Recognizing your triggers. Take time to identify which categories trigger the strongest emotional responses for you. Do you struggle most with inherited items? Are you holding on to aspirational items that represent who you thought you'd become? Understanding your specific patterns will help you develop personalized strategies for each category. Practical strategies for decluttering sentimental items. Strategy 1. The memory box method. For each category of sentimental items, create a designated memory box with specific size limitations. This could be a decorative storage box, a file folder, or even a section of a drawer. The key is setting a physical boundary that forces you to curate rather than accumulate. When the box is full, you must make choices about what's most important before adding anything new. This method acknowledges that some sentimental items are worth keeping while preventing unlimited accumulation. Strategy 2. Digital preservation. Many sentimental items can be preserved digitally while releasing the physical clutter. Take high-quality photos of artwork, documents, clothing, or other meaningful items. Create digital albums organized by category or time period. This allows you to preserve the visual memory while eliminating the storage burden. For documents like letters or cards, consider scanning them and creating digital collections that are easier to browse and share with family members. The act of photographing or scanning also gives you time to reflect on each item mindfully. Strategy 3. The 1-year rule. For items you're uncertain about, implement a 1-year rule. Box up questionable sentimental items and mark the box with today's date. If you don't open the box or think about its contents within 1 year, donate or discard the items without opening the box again. This strategy works because it removes the emotional decision-making from the moment of decluttering while providing evidence of what you truly miss versus what you simply thought you might miss. Strategy 4. Transformation and repurposing. Consider how sentimental items might be transformed into something functional or displayable rather than stored away. Old t-shirts can become a memory quilt, children's artwork can be photographed and made into a photo book. Jewelry can be redesigned into pieces you'll actually wear. Transformation honors the sentimental value while creating something that serves a purpose in your current life. This approach works particularly well for inherited items that don't fit your current style or needs. Strategy 5. The museum approach. Designate specific areas of your home as display zones for sentimental items, a shadow box, a shelf, a section of wall space. Rotate items seasonally or annually, keeping some pieces on display while storing others. This ensures your most meaningful items are visible and appreciated rather than buried in storage. The key is treating these display areas like museum curators treat exhibitions, thoughtfully selected, well presented, and regularly refreshed. Strategy 6. Family distribution. Before assuming family members want inherited items, have honest conversations about what they would actually like to have. Consider organizing a family gathering where items can be distributed according to interest rather than obligation. Create a family inventory where relatives can indicate which items they genuinely like to receive. This prevents the accumulation of items that no family member actually wants, while ensuring meaningful pieces go to people who will treasure them. Overcoming emotional resistance. Reframing your relationship with memory. One of the biggest obstacles to decluttering sentimental items is the fear that releasing objects means losing memories. It's important to understand that memories exist independently of physical objects. Your love for a deceased grandparent doesn't diminish because you donated their extra clothing. Your pride in your children's accomplishments doesn't fade because you don't keep every piece of artwork they created. In fact, keeping only the most meaningful items can strengthen your connection to memories by removing the dilution effect of too many objects. When every item you keep is truly special, each one carries more emotional weight and significance. Guilt release techniques. Guilt is perhaps the strongest emotion keeping us attached to sentimental clutter. Develop specific techniques for processing and releasing guilt. Gratitude practice. Before releasing an item, spend a moment expressing gratitude for the role it played in your life. Thank it for the memories, the lessons, or the joy it brought, then release it with appreciation rather than guilt. Permission giving. Give yourself explicit permission to let go. Say out loud, "I give myself permission to release this item while keeping the memory." Or, "I honor this person's memory in ways beyond keeping their possessions." Redefining honor. Understand that honoring deceased loved ones or past experiences doesn't require keeping every associated object. You can honor someone's memory through actions, values, relationships, and selective, meaningful items rather than comprehensive collections. Working through decision paralysis. When faced with rooms full of sentimental items, decision paralysis can prevent any progress. Combat this by implementing structured decision-making processes. Time limits. Set a timer for 15 to 30 minutes and make decisions only during that time frame. This prevents endless deliberation and forces intuitive choices. Energy-based decisions. Hold each item and notice your body's response. Items that make you feel heavy, tired, or stressed may be ready to go, while items that genuinely spark joy or peace are worth keeping. Future-focused questions. Ask yourself not, "What did this mean to me?" but "What role will this play in my ideal future?" This shifts focus from past attachment to current relevance. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're finding these strategies helpful. We post new organizing and decluttering content every week, and your subscription helps us reach more people who could benefit from these techniques. Creating your decluttering action plan. Phase 1. Assessment and preparation. Begin your sentimental decluttering journey with a comprehensive assessment. Walk through your home and identify all areas where sentimental items have accumulated. This might include closets, basements, attics, spare rooms, and storage units. Create a priority list based on which areas are most impacting your daily life. Start with spaces you use regularly rather than long-term storage areas. This ensures you see immediate benefits from your efforts, which maintains motivation for tackling more challenging areas later. Gather your supplies, donation bags or boxes, trash bags, storage containers for items you're keeping, labels, and a camera for documenting items you want to remember. Having everything ready prevents interruptions during the emotional work of decision-making. Phase 2. Category-based sorting. Rather than working room by room, work category by category. Gather all items in one category, say all inherited jewelry or all children's school projects, and sort them together. This allows you to see the full scope of what you have and makes it easier to identify duplicates or less meaningful items within each category. Start with the category that feels least emotionally charged for you. Building momentum with easier decisions will give you confidence for more difficult categories later. Phase 3, the 3-box method. For each category, use 3 boxes or areas: keep, donate, and decide later. The decide later box should be used sparingly and revisited within a specific time frame, no more than 1 month. Be honest about the keep box. If you're keeping something, you should be able to clearly articulate why it's meaningful and where it will live in your home. Vague reasons like "it might be important someday" indicate an item that belongs in donate or decide later. Phase 4, processing and integration. Once you've made initial sorting decisions, process each category completely before moving to the next. Take photos of items you're releasing, arrange donations for pickup, and properly store or display items you're keeping. Create a simple inventory of what you've kept and where it's stored. This prevents future accumulation of similar items and helps you find things when you want them. Phase 5, maintenance systems. Develop ongoing systems to prevent sentimental clutter from accumulating again. This might include annual reviews of your memory boxes, immediate decision-making about new sentimental items, and regular conversations with family members about inherited items. Special considerations for common sentimental items. Dealing with clothing. Clothing holds particularly strong emotional attachments because it's so closely connected to our identity and memories of specific life phases. Your wedding dress, your children's baby clothes, your father's military uniform, these items represent significant life moments and relationships. Wedding attire. If you're keeping your wedding dress, be honest about why. If it's for a daughter who may never want it or may have completely different style preferences, consider preserving it through photography instead. If you're keeping it for the memory, a small piece of fabric or a detailed photo may serve the same purpose. Children's clothing. Select a few truly special outfits from each child and each age rather than keeping everything. Consider having a quilt made from favorite pieces, which creates a functional keepsake that's easier to store and display. Inherited clothing. Unless you actually wear inherited clothing, it's taking up valuable space in your closet. Consider keeping 1 or 2 pieces that you genuinely love and will wear and releasing the rest. The memory of your loved one isn't diminished by donating their clothing to someone who will use it. Managing paper memorabilia. Paper items, letters, cards, programs, certificates accumulate quickly and can become overwhelming. Develop clear criteria for what's worth keeping versus what can be released. Letters and cards. Keep letters that contain meaningful messages or represent important relationships. Generic greeting cards with only signatures can usually be released. Consider creating a small archive of the most meaningful correspondence rather than keeping everything. Programs and tickets. These items often trigger memories of events, but they don't usually require permanent storage. Photograph programs from significant events and create a digital scrapbook. Keep only items from truly milestone events. Certificates and awards. Display current, relevant certificates and store others in a single file folder. You don't need to keep every certificate you've ever received. Focus on those representing significant achievements or milestones. Handling inherited items. Inherited items carry the weight of family history and can be the most emotionally challenging to address. Remember that keeping everything doesn't honor your loved one's memory any more than keeping selected, meaningful pieces. Furniture. Unless you actually use and love inherited furniture, it may be taking up space without adding value to your life. Consider whether family members might want specific pieces or whether donation might allow the furniture to serve someone who needs it.
Collections. Inherited collections can be particularly burdensome because they represent someone else's passion rather than your own. You're not obligated to maintain someone else's collection. Consider keeping 1 or 2 representative pieces and finding appropriate homes for the rest, perhaps museums, collectors, or enthusiasts who will appreciate them. Kitchen items and china. Formal dinnerware and specialty kitchen items are commonly inherited but rarely used. Be honest about your entertaining style and needs. If you don't host formal dinners, you don't need to keep formal china out of obligation. Books and magazines. Books pose unique challenges because they represent knowledge, aspirations, and intellectual identity. However, books you'll never read again are simply taking up space that could be used for books you actually want to read or other purposes. Reference books. Most reference information is now available online. Unless you regularly use specific reference books, consider donating them to libraries or schools where they'll be actively used. Novels and nonfiction. Keep books you genuinely plan to reread or reference. Create a realistic assessment of your reading habits and preferences. Books that represented past interests but don't align with current interests can be released to make room for books that reflect who you are now. Magazines. Unless you're saving magazines for specific articles or recipes, they're generally not worth keeping. Tear out the few pages that are truly useful and recycle the rest. Please take a moment to comment below about which category of sentimental clutter is most challenging for you. Your comments help me understand what content would be most helpful for future videos. Creating meaningful memory preservation. Quality over quantity. The goal of decluttering sentimental items isn't to eliminate all memory-keeping objects, but to curate a collection that truly serves your needs and brings you joy. A smaller collection of deeply meaningful items will have more impact than rooms full of forgotten objects. Focus on keeping items that tell stories you want to remember and share. The baby blanket you made for your first child, the watch your father wore every day, the cookbook with handwritten notes from your grandmother. These items have clear significance and purpose. Creating memory projects. Transform collections of sentimental items into meaningful projects that consolidate and preserve memories while reducing physical clutter. Photo books. Create themed photo books using pictures of family gatherings, vacations, or life events. Include photos of meaningful objects alongside photos of people and places. Memory quilts. Have t-shirts, baby clothes, or fabric items transformed into quilts that can be used and enjoyed rather than stored in boxes. Digital archives. Scan documents, letters, and photos to create digital collections that can be easily shared with family members and won't deteriorate over time. Shadow boxes. Create focused displays that tell specific stories: your child's baseball career, your parents' wedding, your military service. These displays honor memories while containing them in specific spaces. Involving family members. Memory preservation becomes more meaningful when family members are involved in the process. Consider creating collaborative projects that engage multiple generations. Story collection. Record family members sharing stories about meaningful objects before deciding what to keep. Sometimes the story is more important than the object itself. Family archive. Create a shared digital archive where family members can contribute photos, documents, and stories. This distributes the responsibility for memory keeping rather than placing it all on one person. Annual memory sharing. Establish traditions around sharing and discussing family memories that don't require keeping all associated objects. Moving forward. Maintaining your progress. Preventing future accumulation. Once you've successfully decluttered your sentimental items, it's important to develop systems that prevent reaccumulation. Sentimental clutter often builds up gradually, making it easy to slide back into old patterns without conscious effort. Immediate decision-making. When new, potentially sentimental items enter your life, gifts, inheritances, children's artwork, make immediate decisions about whether to keep them rather than adding them to sort later piles. Regular reviews. Schedule annual or semi-annual reviews of your memory boxes and sentimental items.
As your life changes, your relationship with objects may change too, and items that once felt essential may no longer serve you. Clear criteria. Develop and maintain clear criteria for what you keep. This might be items I use or display, or items that represent milestone moments, or one item per person per year. Having clear criteria makes future decisions easier. Sharing your success. Consider sharing your decluttering journey with friends or family members who might be struggling with similar challenges. Your success can inspire others and create accountability for maintaining your progress. Document your process through photos or journaling. This creates a record of your decision-making process and can help you remember why you made certain choices if you experience regret later. Embracing the benefits. Take time to appreciate the benefits of your decluttering efforts. Notice how it feels to move freely through your spaces, to find things easily, to live with objects that truly bring you joy rather than obligation. Recognize that by releasing items that no longer serve you, you've created space, both physical and mental, for new experiences and relationships. This isn't about losing the past, but about making room for the future. Final thoughts. Decluttering sentimental items after 50 is one of the most challenging aspects of creating organized, peaceful living spaces, but it's also one of the most rewarding. By understanding the psychology behind our attachments, developing practical strategies for decision-making, and creating systems for ongoing maintenance, you can honor your memories while creating spaces that serve your current life. Remember that this is a process, not a one-time event. Be patient with yourself as you work through items that carry emotional weight. Start with easier categories and build momentum toward more challenging items. Celebrate your progress along the way and don't expect perfection. The goal isn't to live in a sterile environment devoid of meaningful objects, but to curate a collection of items that truly enhance your life rather than burden it. When you're surrounded only by objects that serve a clear purpose or bring genuine joy, your living space becomes a reflection of your values and priorities rather than a museum of your past. Your memories don't live in your possessions. They live in your heart, your relationships, and your experiences. By releasing objects that no longer serve you, you're not losing your past. You're making space for your future. If this video has been helpful to you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more organizing and decluttering content. I'd love to hear about your own experiences with sentimental clutter in the comments below. What strategies have worked for you? What categories do you find most challenging? Your insights might help other viewers on their own decluttering journeys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll be discussing practical storage solutions for the sentimental items you decide to keep. Until then, take it one item at a time, and remember, you've got this.